Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Pits of Metal and Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I got online Tony Virgilio, alcohol dragster driver. How's it going, Tony?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Not bad at all. So how's the weather out by you?
Yeah, surprisingly, actually, it is warm right now. It's about, I don't know, mid-50s, 60s. So for this time of year, it's not too bad.
Yeah, you're in Indiana, right?
I'm in Indiana.
Yep. I'm in Illinois. You're in Indiana.
Yeah, so you're in the same boat.
Yeah, we're at 67 degrees right now here. So.
That's about the same here.
Kind of windy out though here.
It's extremely windy here.
Yeah, so yeah, we're in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not racing today. It's windy as it is.
Yeah. So, did you do much racing last year with COVID?
Well, surprisingly, I kind of took a different path than probably somebody a lot smarter than myself would have taken. Got out and tested one time right after COVID. Well, yeah, like April, right after COVID hit. Then I decided that my old dragster I had a 2004 Miller, and I decided that I needed to redo that car. So when everything shut down with COVID, I started the process to redo that car and quickly found out that it made more sense to build a brand new one. So I sold that one to a very good buddy, Rolling, and I built a brand new Miller, which took from about April until September to get finished. So we finally got it out there the beginning of September.
Now, is that the light blue one?
That was just a protective wrap that was on there, or a protective covering on the body. I actually just had Tony Pringer, who's a Jake Super Quick racer, a good friend of mine. He actually just painted it, and all got done with paint last weekend. Just got the paint on there, and I'm currently waiting to get the vinyl for it. We painted it Synergy Green, which is that candy green that's on like the new Camaros and stuff.
That's the green one that's in the picture with you and family?
Yep, that's the brand new car.
I see so many different color dragsters in your pictures. I like the green one. There's a black and red one. There's
I've had a lot of dragsters. I started off when I was like 12 years old, and obviously ran juniors, and then wound up in a hardtail dragster, and then had that car for a few years, and then back in about 06, I built a brand new Spitzer 4-link dragster that I had for about 7 years. Then I built an American, started racing a little bit beyond my financial capabilities. So backed that back down and got the Miller that I had before, which was a candy apple red car with flames and all kinds of stuff on it, and then just built the brand new one I have now.
So how long did it take to build a new one?
From April until September of 2020. So what is that? About 5 months.
And you only did one test on it, you said, right?
Well, I went testing the very beginning of the year with my old car, and then when COVID came around and everything shut down, I decided I was going to redo that car and kind of make it brand new, kind of what my new car is, and then I quickly figured out financially it made more sense to just build the brand new one. So I built the brand new one, waited most of the year for it, got it out for the first time in September, and actually won the very first race we went to with it.
Sweet.
So it was well worth the wait.
So now, this is what do you got? What do you got? Blower on that car?
No. It's I had Philip and Jay Oakley, who own Oakley Motorsports down in Owensboro, Kentucky. They built me a real nice 548 Ford, big block Chevy that thinks it's bigger than it is. It runs 480s in the eighth mile, about 142, and just real consistent, good bracket piece.
Nice. So let me ask you, Tony, how did you get into drag racing?
Kind of born into it. My dad used to race back in the 70s and everything, and then got out of it for quite a while. And then when I was probably, about 3 years old, we started going to Coles County Dragway there in Charleston, Illinois. just went and started watching every weekend. By the time I was 4 or 5, he decided that he needed to start racing again, and started racing street class, and then he built the 74 El Camino, which he still has, that he ran in pro class for years and years. And then when I was 12, I started racing junior dragsters because I was horrible at every stick and ball sport that there was in the world. And started racing juniors, and it just kind of clicked. And got into a super pro dragster and everything when I was 16, and kind of went on from there.
Why does it seem like it's always the dad's fault with all you drag racers?
It's definitely the dad's fault. Matter of fact, we were standing back looking at the car this weekend, and with a new paint job, and I'm looking at the car and all this freaking money I spent on it, and I go, this would have been a lot easier if you got me interested in ping pong. So, yeah, it's always the dads. I got plenty of buddies that are in the same boat.
So, what year did you start junior dragsters?
98.
And how many years did you do it for?
I did it 4 years through 01. Won a couple track championships and everything in there. And then moved up to a big dragster, a full-size dragster. It was a small block car back then in 2002 in Super Pro. And did all right my first year. Quickly found out that I went from being kind of the champ in juniors to being the new guy in Super Pro and really having to get my feet wet and learn. And really, I've always been a student of the sport and studied and watched and really, went to the scientific side of driving. And I think my second year in Super Pro, I think I runnered up in points, and then my third year in it, I won the championship. And since then, I've won 5 or 6 championships since then. We ran everything from Super Comp to Jeg Super Quick to Super Pro and everything in between.
Now, when you go out drag racing, who are your crew members?
Anymore, it's my wife's there. She pretty much helps me out with everything, and then my mom's always been kind of the video camera lady, so she's always taped every pass I've made since I was back in juniors. And then my dad used to be pretty much my crew chief and do everything, but anymore he comes, and if I need some help, he's there, but he more or less watches and supports us now. And my wife kind of handles the tire duties, and kind of got my kid now starting to do a little bit more and everything and help out the track. So it's a family operation, like most bracket racers.
So you're pretty much your own crew chief now?
Oh, yeah. I do all the mechanical work and all the chassis tune-up and all the, all your weekly and daily maintenance and all that stuff. Like I said, Philip and Jay Oakley at Oakley Motorsports do my engine. Jeremiah and Jerry Hall, who own Firecracker Performance, which is also Mitchell Transmission in Evansville, Indiana, very close friends of mine. They do my transmissions. Trend Specialties does my torque converters, and then my fuel system come from, it's a Ron's mechanical fuel injection system, which is made by Ron's, but I do all my stuff and get on my fueling system and all that stuff with a James Monroe, who owns KillerRons.com.
So how old is your kid that helps you?
11.
So you think he'll be a drag racer?
I think so. He's starting to harp on the junior dragster thing pretty big, so that's probably in the works eventually here.
Nice.
So I might be going back junior racing again here before real long.
Yep. So now, what's the fastest pass you've made in a dragster?
Fastest pass I've ever made was actually when I had I had a 2014 American chassis, 4-link car, and I actually had a Steve Schmidt 12-degree 618 in that car. And it used to run 8th mile. It'd run 450s on the motor. But the fastest pass I ever made, with a little bit of nitrous on there. Just a quick little shot. It went 439, 160 to the eighth mile, and 694 at 189 to the quarter mile. So that so far has been my fastest pass.
So with the new Dragster, how fast you hoping to get to?
Well, the new car, the whole thing with the new car is it's all about bracket racing and consistency. So most of your bracket cars anymore, your dragsters, are anywhere from, I mean, if you take the good average of it, anywhere from 450 to 5 flat, probably in that range. We pretty much run all eighth mile. My car runs 480s at about 141, 42 mile an hour in the eighth, which is 750s, 760 in the quarter, about 178 probably. So the whole point now is that car run the same thing every time it goes down the track.
Now, do you have any sponsorship at all, Tony?
I don't have any direct sponsors. I have a lot of good people around me that I get some deals here and there and work pretty good with. Like I said, James Monroe at KillerRuns.com helps me out when I need it with fuel systems, and Oakley's with Oakland Motorsports have treated me very well. Jeremiah Hall and Jerry with Firecracker Performance have really helped me out, treated me fantastic. I get all my fuel and my oil and everything from a very good friend of mine named Roger Parks, who owns Parks Racing Fuels. He's helped me out a lot. So, but I got a lot of good buddies and stuff for some help. But as far as the big, direct sponsorships, I do not. Wish I did. I used to, but not anymore.
Now, do you have any favorite tracks to race on?
Yeah, I do. My favorite track, I'm thinking about this for a minute. My favorite track, actually, I don't know, there's something about it. I'm not sure what it is. There's something about it. It's Beach Bend Raceway Park in Bowling Green, Kentucky. That's probably my favorite track. I do a lot of racing at Wabash Valley Dragway in Terre Haute, Indiana, and a lot of racing at Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis. Back when I was traveling and going around all over the place, I've been about everywhere there is to go. But I stay pretty much around those areas now. And but I think my favorite's Beach Bend Raceway Park in Bowling Green. That track's pretty awesome.
Now, do you have any tracks on a bucket list that you would love to go to one day?
Yeah. Let me think. I think the big one would be if you win the Summit Racing ET Bracket Finals, which is held every year at Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Raceway. The winner of each class of that goes out to Pomona, California, to race at the NHRA Finals. I think that'd be my bucket list track, is going and racing in Pomona.
Now, as far as the sport of drag racing, do you have anything on a bucket list that you would love to try and drag racing someday?
Yeah, the biggest one on my bucket list I'd like to eventually get to. Back when I was younger and didn't have most of the responsibilities that I have now, like every other racer in the world, my dream was always to drive professionally. But obviously, the way things are nowadays, that's not going to happen. So I think what would be on my bucket list to hopefully do eventually. I don't know if I'll ever do it, just because of the amount of financial backing it would take to do it, would be to race Top Dragster. I'd really like to race Top Dragster someday.
Top Fuel Dragster, huh?
No, not
top alcohol.
No. Well, no, Top Alcohol would be great too, but at this point, Top Dragster. Top Dragster's it's essentially a quick 32 on the quarter mile. It's a 32 car qualified field. The fastest you're allowed to go in the class in the quarter mile is 6:10. Slowest you're allowed to go, I believe, is I think it's 7:99. But anymore, with the way that class has gotten, everyone's got pro chargers and blowers, and a few guys still left are spraying a lot of nitrous with big cubic inch motors. And most everyone's running down around that 6:10 to 6:30 mark. So I'd like to do that eventually, hopefully one day. But ultimate goal, which like I said, I don't know if this will ever happen. My ultimate goal would be to drive top alcohol, but that would be something I wouldn't be able to do, on my own. That'd be something I'd have to be able to get a ride for or something like that. But with the way that stuff works nowadays, seems like it's more money related than, how well you can drive a car. So
Yeah.
top dragster would be the goal.
Yeah, you're still young.
Yeah, I'm 35. I'm kind of in that, that middle area there.
So when you started drag racing back, when you were a kid, did you have any drag racers out there that inspired you out there?
I did. Back when I was a young kid, I used to my go-to guys. My favorite racer ever was probably Joe Amato, who ran Top Fuel. Of course, like everybody else, I'm a Don Garlitz fan. John Force, Don Perdome, Kenny Bernstein, Warren Johnson, and Pro Stock I always really liked. As I got older, Larry Dixon was probably my guy in Fuel, Top Fuel. Anymore, I don't know. Anymore, I tend to root for the guys that came out of the sportsman ranks. In the pro categories, like in Top Fuel, I'd be rooting for like Sean Langdon and J.R. Todd, guys like that. So, yeah, always been a big fan.
So, how was your first time experience going down a track in a dragster?
It was eye opening. It got your attention. I'll never forget my first pass of the big dragster when I was 16 when I moved up, to a full-size dragster out of the junior. I remember letting go of the trans brake button, and the two-step came up. And I remember right before the car left, I thought, oh, man, I don't have my head back. And boom, I got planted against the back of the roll cage, and I learned real quick there to put my head back. So it was an experience. It was an experience. It was addicting. It turns into a disease.
Yeah, that's what I hear from a lot of drivers. Get that?
Yeah, I tell it's like not being a business owner, being a self-funded guy. Somebody that scrapes by to make this happen. I get guys at work and people that know me that don't race all the time ask, man, how do you afford to do that? I'm like, you don't afford to do it. I'm like, it's like having a kid. You either do it or you don't. It's a disease.
Yeah. So when you get out there in staging lanes, Tony, you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions when you're out there?
I'm not really superstitious. I guess, well, I don't know. Maybe you could call it superstition. I'm not so much superstitious as I am. I'm real big on routine and doing everything the exact same way every single time. So, I put my seatbelts on the same time every time. I put my gloves on the same time every time. I put the same belt. I hook the same shoulder belt up first every time. For some reason, I got to put my left glove on first every time. So I'm real big in routine to where that's the best thing you can do in my opinion as a racer is get to where everything is just second nature. You do things and you don't even think about it. You just do them. So I'm a routine guy.
So what would you consider one of your most memorable wins?
Oh wow, most memorable win. Honestly, it was probably the very first time I won what's called a Wally Trophy, which is the biggest trophy you can win in drag racing. Most guys that run sportsmen, run super pro bracket race, very seldomly do you get the opportunity to run for a Wally and a Wally Trophy. And somehow I'd always been very blessed. I was very lucky to win a lot of races, a lot of championships, regular races, regular championships, big races. But every time I got in one of those darn Wally finals, it just didn't matter. I wasn't supposed to have a Wally trophy. I was in 16 finals for a Wally before I won one of them. And in 2011, I won the Jake Superquick race at Terre Haute and won the Wally that went along with it, the Wally trophy. And it was cool. I had my good buddy Eric dousing me with champagne afterwards, and it was a really neat night. I think that's my favorite one.
All right, so now, Tony, what do you enjoy most about being a drag racer?
Probably two things. Surprisingly, I'm just a dragster guy. I'm at home in a dragster, so it's not a going fast thing for me. It's going fast just goes along with being in a dragster. Being in a dragster's home. Honestly, I think what it is I enjoy the most is I enjoy all the friends I've made and the camaraderie, and I enjoy. I'm very, very competitive. I enjoy the competitive edge of it, the competition side of it.
Now, what do you hate most about being a drag racer?
Losing.
Yeah.
Losing and the amount of money it costs to race. I'd say those two things. You'll never find every way in the world to lose. The minute you think you have, you get slapped in the face.
Now, if you could change anything about bracket racing, what would you want to change?
I wouldn't change anything about bracket racing itself. I think bracket racing's tremendous. But what I would change is I would change the perception of bracket racing, because you get a lot of these heads-up guys, which is great. I mean, if you want to be a heads-up racer, outstanding. That's, my thing, bracket racing. But a lot of people that don't fully understand what it takes to be a good bracket racer, make fun of it or look down on it, and it doesn't get the coverage that it should get, because I'll tell you, the best drivers in this country are bracket racers. A lot of bracket racers that move up and become pro drivers in the fuel ranks, that's the guys that have the reaction times. That's the guys that have the quick car handling ability. I mean, the best drivers there are, well-rounded drivers, is a bracket racer. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying this, but it takes talent no matter what you're doing to wheel a fast car down the track. Some of these small tire cars and stuff these guys do on them is impressive. It's insane. But at the end of the day, heads up racing, I mean, you're your car tune up versus who's faster. It has nothing to do with how good of a driver you are most of the time. Being a bracket racer, yeah, you're going to get your lucky breaks. You're going to win some rounds you shouldn't win. But 90% of the time, it's about being consistent and being good. I mean, in a good bracket race, I mean, if you're not going 10 to 15 thousandths total from a perfect run, put the car in the trailer, man, you're going home. So I think that's the best drivers there are.
Now, Tony, if you didn't become a drag racer, you have any idea what you'd be doing with yourself?
No, I do not. I honestly don't know what kind of living I'm sure I'd be sinking money and time into something else. I just have no idea what it would be. I mean, actually, let me take that back. I started playing bass guitar, when I was 12 years old also, and was in bands for a long time, and actually just got out of my last band I was in about a year ago due to some time constraints, conflicting with work and racing and everything else. I'd probably be way more heavily involved in the music than what I am if I wasn't racing.
So the last band you were in, were you in a cover band?
Yeah.
What was it?
I was in a band called Dog Days out of Greenfield, Indiana, which is just east of Indianapolis. I was with them for about 4 years or so, and they're still playing, man. They got a new bass player that's pretty darn good, and they're still playing all over the place. It's called Dog Days, and I played with them. It was a good time, but it just got to the point between work and racing and life, something had to give. So generally in my past, music's what's always had to take the back burner, even though I really, really like it and I'm very passionate about it, but something's got to take number one, whether it be racing or music, so I generally always choose racing.
So you started playing the bass at 12 years old, you said, right?
I started playing bass the exact same time I started racing juniors.
Now, did you take lessons or were you self-taught?
I did. I mean, I took lessons here and there. I mean, for a very short time, but other than that, I was self-taught. With a lot of hours practicing, which I still do now. At least a few times a week, I go in there and grab the guitar and play for an hour or two.
So what brand was your first bass guitar?
Fender.
What are you playing now?
Same things. I'm still a Fender, but I've gotten really into the Music Man basses, the Stingray basses, which is kind of my go-to now.
What kind of amp you playing out of?
Ampeg.
So who knows?
Ampeg's kind of the Marshall of bass.
Who knows? Though maybe later years from now you'll start. Maybe you may be in another band. You never know.
Oh, yeah, you never know. I mean, I've had offers since I got out of the one I was in, but I know what'll end up happening, so just kind of jamming at home for myself when I want to and concentrating on racing and family and work, and that's about it, really.
So before that band, did you play in any original bands?
I did. I played in several original bands. I was in one that I got out of bands for about 10 years, but I was in one for a few years, back about the time I was 18. We were actually on an independent label called Spine Productions. Did some touring around and some things like that. We were playing like ridiculously heavy music. It was kind of insane. And but same thing, I had to get out of that because of racing. It got to the point where I couldn't do both.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you could have the band at the track and play after the races are done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, racing takes a lot of time. Some people that don't race don't understand how much time it takes. I mean, if you want to really keep a top-notch car, I'm a firm believer, which I get made fun of a lot for, but I'm a firm believer in you can't do enough maintenance. So I over-maintenance everything and, really try to take care of what I got. And so there's always something to do.
So who's your favorite bass player?
Favorite bass player? That would definitely be Jason Newsted, who was Metallica's bass player.
Yep. Yeah, I saw you had the Metallica shirt on in your pictures when you were playing the bass.
I'm sure there's one somewhere.
Yep. So who's your favorite band, Metallica?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yep, it's always been.
All right, now, if you could have your fans that come watch you drag race remember one thing about you, Tony, what would you want that one thing to be that the fans remember about you?
Probably, I get very into race mode, which some people might take as over competitive or almost being over focused, but I'm very approachable. I'm very, very relatable. Probably the fact that I take the time out of no matter what I was doing to talk to anybody that walked up and had a question or wanted to talk racing or talk about the car.
All right, now, if anybody might be listening live to the interview right now, whether it be a kid or a young adult or older adult, and they're thinking about getting into drag racing, what kind of advice would you give?
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said, if there's anybody listening in live right now that might want to start, drag racing, whether it be a kid or an adult, what kind of advice would you give them?
It's a great sport to be in. I mean, because it all comes back to family. I mean, all your racing friends you make, all your acquaintances you make, people you're around every single weekend, 7-8 months out of the year or more, really become your second family. I mean, so you've always got somebody there for you. You've always got somebody to help you, no matter whether it's racing related or not. And I would say to do whatever you got to make it happen, because it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money to do this, but the joy you get out of it, if you're truly passionate about it, you can make a lot of money at it, especially with these big money bracket races now. I would say do whatever it takes to do it, because you're going to gain a second family. and a very good time and a life full of great experiences that not a lot of people get.
Now, do you think you could get any better as a driver? And if so, how do you achieve that to get better as a race car driver?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I strive to get better all the time. Basically, I mean, I don't think there's, one thing, two things, or 30 things I could name to get better outside of anytime I lose a run. I sit back and I look at it and determine, I really examine it, what did I do wrong here to prevent this from happening again, try to learn something every time moving forward. So all I can do to get better is keep learning and keep making run after run.
Now, for your dragster, is there a lot of maintenance between races?
No, not really. Like I said, the type of cars we have are there's a lot that can happen with them, but on a week-to-week basis, there's not a whole lot to do. I mean, if you go win, you go to a standard Saturday night bracket race. If you win, you're probably going to make anywhere from I don't know, 9 to 11 runs, and I change my oil about every 25 runs. I check the valve lash and check the valves about every 25 runs. Change the transmission fluid about every 50 runs. Same thing with the spark plug. And I'm real big on keeping a clean car. I clean the daylights out of my car after each race from top to bottom because that allows me to touch everything. And you'd be surprised how much stuff you catch before it becomes a problem by just touching everything. That'd be another bit of advice I give to somebody if you want to start racing a dragster. Keep a clean car for two reasons. A, it looks good. And B, you get to touch everything, and you'll find a lot of goofy stuff before it ever happens. So other than that, it's not too bad, except when you get to the years to where you need to rebuild the transmission or rebuild the motor. Then it gets kind of nasty. But outside of that, it's not too bad.
Now, do you only do quarter-mile racing?
I do mostly all 8-mile racing. Like I said, I used to run Super Comp and everything else, which was quarter mile. But anymore, we pretty much all bracket race, which is on the 8th mile. And about 99% of the racing I do is 8th mile. Once in a blue moon, I'll make a quarter mile pass somewhere, but usually all 8.
Now, you have a preference, quarter race?
I really like quarter mile's fun because obviously you go faster. But I actually really do prefer the 8th mile. I think it's tighter, closer racing, and it doesn't beat on your equipment as bad. So everything lasts longer, motors live longer, less wear and tear. So I prefer 8th mile.
Now, where do you get your fire and safety equipment from?
I got a good mix of all kinds of stuff. I get I'm trying to think what I even have right now. I think I've got a race clip helmet. I got a Simpson neck collar. I got an RJS suit. I got Pro 1 gloves and race clip driving boots. I get all that stuff either from the manufacturer or from like Jigs and Summit.
All right, so now, Tony, from junior dragster till present day, have you reached any milestones?
Yeah, like you mean like as far as like number of wins or just in general?
Yeah, in general, what milestones that you want to reach have you hit?
I've been very blessed to be in a lot of finals and win a lot of races. I mean, I'm not even sure the total amount of races I've won since from juniors until now. I mean, I know for sure I've definitely been in over 100 finals. I'd say if I had to take a wild guess, I'd say wins are probably up in the 60s or 70s. Won several track championships, junior, super pro, and what's called, it's like a quick 33 class called the Fast 33 that Terre Haute hosts. So I mean, I'd say those are my big milestones, just winning track championships and winning a lot of races. I've always had the reputation of being pretty good on the tree, cutting good lights, which I don't know that I necessarily agree with, but I'll take it,
Yeah.
I'd like to be better.
Now, have you been in any accidents or close calls?
Unfortunately, yeah, I have. I had an 88 Ranger Super Pro car, back aft, ladder bar, big tire, and that I had at the same time as one of my dragsters. I was running the dragster in the Jake Super Quick series, and the door car was supposed to be for Super Pro. And unfortunately, I had a Heim joint back in 2011 on the ladder bar break at about half track. It just broke, just boom, and broke the bracket off the frame, which essentially ripped the whole rear end out of the truck, turned me sideways, and basically barrel rolled me. Slid me down the shutdown area on the roof and bounced off the guardrail a couple times, and it was a little exciting. Had a couple close calls with the dragsters just getting loose and getting a little sideways, just a few times here and there, not hardly ever at all. But the bad one was that wreck, and that was the only one, thank goodness.
Well, knock on wood, you won't have no more accidents, Tony.
I hope not. I had a buddy that had an accident years ago tell me then that it's just a matter of not if but when, and I was like, yeah, right, whatever. And then it happened to me, so I can believe that statement now.
Yeah. All right, so let me ask you a few fun questions before we finish up here. You ready?
Yeah.
Now, outside of drag racing, you have any hobby? You have time for any hobbies? I know you play the bass guitar. Any other hobbies?
No, not really. Outside of just helping buddies work on cars and going to my kids' sports games, and no, not really. That's pretty much it.
Now, if you could find a time travel machine and go back in time, would you do anything differently with your drag racing career?
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't change anything that's really happened, but I would change what I did with the way that I went about building some of the cars. Kind of racing above my means there for a while. I probably wouldn't have done that, but that'd be about it.
Now, if you and the family ever have time to go on a vacation, what's your favorite vacation getaway?
Probably going down to like Orlando and Disney World would probably be it.
All right, what's your favorite food to eat?
Steak.
Steak and potatoes?
Oh, yeah.
Now, do you cook?
Sometimes I'm more of a grill type guy, but yeah, I do.
So, what do you consider your best dish that you cook?
Actually, honestly, probably grilled chicken.
Now, how about your wife? She cooks?
Sometimes.
What's your favorite dish that your wife makes?
Probably spaghetti.
All right, now what's your favorite beverage?
Mountain Dew.
That's my wife's favorite beverage. Drinks that stuff like it's no tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. I have the same problem.
Now, do you drink alcohol?
I do on occasion. Yeah, I like Coors Light.
You're a Coors Light guy.
I'm a Coors Light guy.
The day at the track after the day's over, nice cold Coors Light, huh?
Exactly.
Now, when you're at the track for a day of racing at the track, how's your eating habits? Do you eat light during race day and wait till the racers are done, or you eat regular during the day?
Man, no, I eat light. I don't know why. I've always been that way. Like, I'll literally, outside of having maybe a little, like a Slim Jim or something here or there, I literally don't eat when I'm racing. It's kind of ridiculous, but I've always been that way.
All right, so you take that ice cold Coors Light and wash down the meal after the races.
Exactly.
All right, so what's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, wow. Honestly, probably all the Rocky movies.
All right, so what's your favorite type of music? Hard rock, metal?
Yeah, anything rock.
All right, so now you have a biggest pet peeve.
Wow. Let me see if I can narrow that one down. Probably lying, honestly. Being lied to or lying. Or whispering. I don't know what it is about whispering. There's something about whispering that drives me absolutely nuts. Probably because I'm loud.
Now, are you a dog person or a cat person?
Dog person.
Now, when you were growing up as a little kid, did you watch cartoons?
Yeah.
So what was your favorite cartoon as a kid?
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fire. Shut up.
It still is.
All right, so Tony, you have any final words or shout-outs or any kind of good stuff before we close?
No, I do. I really appreciate you having me on here and taking the time and kind of letting me tell my story. And yeah, I'll give a quick shout out here to my wife Tara, my son Tony, my parents, my in-laws. I'm sure some coworkers will probably hear this. And then, like I said, everyone that's been there for me in the racing world, all my friends and everyone that's helped me out from, like I said, Oakley Motorsports, Miller Race Cars, KillerRons.com, James Monroe, Parks Racing Fuels, Firecracker Performance, all them. So thank you very much. Appreciate everything everyone's done.
I got one more fun question for you. What was the first concert you ever went to?
What was the first what?
First concert you ever went to?
First concert? Oh man, it was Motley Crue.
Which tour?
Oh gosh, I can't remember which one it was called. It was the one, whatever one they were on, which was either in 99 or 2000. I can't remember. It was one of those 2 years.
Now, was Vince still sounding good back then, or he sounded like shit?
No, he sounded good. He sounded pretty good back then. He still spoke English. I saw some videos of him from that last tour. I was like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
Best show I've ever been to was Metallica just a couple of years ago.
For the Death Magnetic tour?
It was that might have been it. It was the one in 2019. Went and saw him in Indianapolis in March 2019. That was cool.
All right, so Tony, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview tonight then.
I really appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
No problem. Hope you had fun.
I did. Had a blast.
That's awesome to hear. Well, hopefully we can get you on air again. You could tell us about some big wins that you had this year.
That sounds perfect to me. I look forward to it.
So what are you looking forward to the most out of this race season in 2021?
Honestly, just getting back in the car and kind of getting back into normal and getting back in the swing of things and hoping for a good, successful year.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck this year.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And you have a great night, Tony.
You too, buddy.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye.